Hello and thanks for stopping by. This is Jeopardy for the NES, released by GameTech in 1988. This is Jeopardy, and if you're watching this video, I think you probably know what you're getting coming out of the gates. This is straight up, classic, been out since 1964 Jeopardy the Quiz Show, and as such, you probably have expectations as to what this game is going to be about and how it should run. I think this one meets all the standards for Jeopardy, and it's just straight up Jeopardy with the famous theme music and all the applicable game rules intact. To clarify, Jeopardy is a quiz show where you need to buzz in first and then answer the game's puzzles by forming the question to the answer that they display on screen. The game is between 3 players, and you can have 1 or 2 people play by the computer if you'd like, so you can actually play this game solo, no problem. So you buzz in using the Nintendo gamepad, and this was probably my first stumbling block. I kept trying to press a button to buzz in when I should have been pushing the directional on the gamepad. I missed a few times as a result of this, but I guess it was okay overall. You get used to it. Full disclosure, the footage you're seeing me play here is me playing this game for the first time in probably 30 years. I played this game when I was a little kid. Specifically, I remember playing against my Uncle Ron, who, of course, trounced me with no problem. An adult versus a kid, playing Jeopardy, yeah, it worked out just like you would expect. The fun thing about this game, this particular game of Jeopardy anyway, are the questions that they ask. This cartridge came out in the late 80s, which means there have been like 30 plus years of world events and cultural happenings that aren't included with this game. So to put this in perspective, this game came out during the 8-bit computer era. There was no internet. There was no YouTube. It was totally different back then. And I think this makes the challenge a bit harder, because these questions are pretty old. Of course, this also initially made me curious, how would I actually do going into this game cold? The things they reference here, things they were referencing in the 80s, of course, were from the 80s and prior. So I hope you're up on your 70s and 80s world politics. In this instance, I end up losing this game. But truthfully, I was beating the bag off of these 2 dopes the first round. Then the computer beefed up their intelligence significantly for round 2, and they both made a comeback. It actually came down to the last question, and I just didn't know it. Look at these smarmy cartoons playing this game against me. They could barely mumble through an answer in the first round, and suddenly they become rogue scholars for round 2. What a bunch of jerks. So you have to choose a category, and you choose a score value, and then you try to come up with a question for the answer that displays on screen. You have to read it as fast as you can, and then buzz in to answer. The thing is that when you buzz in, you still have to deal with the fact that this is the NES. So to answer the question, you need to type in your answer using the gamepad. There's no keyboard, so you have to scroll to each individual letter and select them one at a time. This is where the biggest hurdle is in this game, I think. Spelling. You need to spell the question the way the game needs you to spell the question, and this can be frustrating. Hey, if the answer is Johnny Carson, I need to know exactly how to spell Johnny, and I've seen this name spelled a few different ways. This is a really frustrating way to lose a question, and it's on a timer. If you're typing in an answer and you misspell it, you might not have enough time to go back and correct it. Naturally, if this is a daily double question where you've bet money to try to get ahead, this can be a problem. I definitely hate losing a question just because I misspelled something by 1 letter. There's just no leeway in the game when it comes to this fact, so you better bring your A game and pay attention. Still, this is a reasonably fun quiz game, and beating these goofy cartoon caricatures is actually also pretty enjoyable. On the flip side, it's equally frustrating when they put on their magical professor hats all of a sudden and somehow manage to come back to beat you in the end. This is also one of those games that you're going to get better at over time, assuming you pay attention. Remember, this is the NES, and that chip inside the cartridge can only hold so much data. We are not talking millions of questions for this game. There seem to be a lot, sure, but I know it doesn't take many games before you start to see the same categories popping up again. I imagine if you take to this game, you're just going to start to get higher and higher scores as you slowly start to memorize the trivia. This Jeopardy card is actually a fairly common NES game to find in the wild, or at least it is as of the making of this video, and it's certainly not an expensive game either. I would say if you're starting an NES collection, this is probably a safe game to have. It's worth playing, it's fun. Well, that's all I have today for Jeopardy for the NES. If this video is your type of thing, please feel free to like and subscribe, and thanks for watching. Hope to catch you on another video.